Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast, where real conversations meet deep healing. If you're ready to transform your life, you're in the right place.
We're your hosts, Coach Deb and Coach Yamz, two passionate coaches dedicated to helping you navigate life's transitions through healing, self-care, and personal growth. Our mission is to raise the world's vibration by providing tools, wisdom, and community to help you live a happier, more fulfilling life.
Join us every second and fourth Saturday for thought-provoking discussions, expert insight, and real stories of healing and transformation.
Be sure to subscribe and leave a review to help us reach more people on their healing journey.
Warm greetings and welcome back to the Healing Corner podcast. I am your host, Coach Deb. And I have with me my co-host, Coach Yamz, as well as our wonderful guest here with us today. We are going to go ahead and introduce him. So this is Leo. He is a herbalist and founder of Conscious Healing, and he's very passionate about advocating for the natural wellness and ancestral intuitive practices. So we do want to welcome Leo here with us. Do you have anything that you would like to tell everybody, kind of give a background of, where you come from, who you are, if for those that have not watched him, because he is a previous guest here on the show. So we appreciate you for showing up.
All right. Yeah. Hey, how you doing, everybody? My name is Leo Hamza. I am a family herbalist. I have a certificate from the School of Natural Healing. I am a student at Danville Area Community College. I currently am working my way to get my associates in sociology. And in the near future, I will go into studying law. I am also the proud owner of what I call Conscious Healing, which my fiance and I will be turning into a rehabilitation clinic in the near future. So basically where I started was right after high school. Well, you know what? I actually started when it comes to this whole holistic scene, it started before high school before I graduated high school, because in high school I was prescribed some medication. I was having some issues, mental issues in high school, which now I know as anxiety and depression and so on. But the doctors I went and saw, they gave me this medication, which was actually high blood pressure medication for the issues I was having. Because I didn't have high blood pressure, they gave me high blood pressure, which one day in class, I had heart palpitations, which caused me to nearly go unconscious. I was taken out of the school on a stretcher, taken to the hospital, and that was my first negative impact when it comes to pharmaceutical medication. And right then and there, I knew this wasn't for me, nor was this for anybody else. After that, I graduated high school. I moved on and I found some roommates and I moved in with them. And well, really all of us, we probably all have shopped like this before. As a kid, I grew up eating at the dollar store, getting the dollar sandwiches, the $3 Tony pizzas, the ramen noodles and the pops. Moving in with my roommates, I went to the store to get everybody a bunch of groceries. I thought it was a nice thing to do. And come to find out, my roommates, they were vegans, vegetarians, and they looked at me like, this is not food. What? And I was very confused. I was lost. I was 19 years old. I didn't understand what they were talking about. And then to come to find out, there was no nutritional value to this food. And it really changed my whole perspective of everything. Because when I listened to them, and so I began to study what they were talking about. And the first book I read was Dr. Colin T. Campbell's book, which is called The China Study. And I realized how nutrition affects us on a whole different level that I didn't think I would ever understand this stuff or ever pick up anything like this. But I changed my diet. I changed my environment. When I graduated high school, I was actually only about 5 foot tall, and I only weighed about 120 pounds. I was very malnourished. I was very petite. And when I changed my environment factors inside and out, I grew to be about 5'9". I gained about 30 pounds. I went from 120 pounds to 150 pounds. And this is really where my diet or my journey began. And it's been my endeavor and my passion for the last 10 years now. So nearly a decade.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that background. Yams, do you have anything that you would like to say or introduction of yourself?
Um, Introduction of myself, Coach Yams here, owner of Healing is Work Coaching, and I help women to stop doing shit out of obligation, to find their purpose, to reclaim their power and reclaim their voice. That's what I do outside of when we're meeting here to do podcast things. And the other thing that I wanted to add is the title, because we have now gotten Leo's intro and we know that he is an herbalist. And the episode title for today, so that you all know the point of the conversation, is Vitalism over Reductionism, the holistic approach to herbalism. And the whole purpose of this conversation is for us and for y'all to learn about the difference between these two, because there are many ways to approach a thing. And so being informed so that you can approach it the way that makes the most sense for you and your body is what we're here to learn more about. Because this is ancestral. This is generational. This is deep work, and so we wanted to have somebody here that could speak to that. Um, and the thing that I would say next would be with the title Vitalism over Reductionism. I know for me, I was like, I don't really know what these words mean as opposed to each other and independently. So I think it would be good for Leo if you could tell us what these two words mean, how they are a part of our world.
Absolutely. I believe vitalism over reductionism is a really important topic of discussion because, well, we look at herbalists. When we go to an herbalist, we expect to get herbs right away. Just like when we go to a doctor, everybody expects to get medication right away to fix their issues. And the fact of the matter is, when you go to an herbalist, the last resort is to prescribe an herb. Okay. And this is the vitalist way of looking at things. And so basically, what vitalism is, it says that there's a driving force which is crucial for healing. In Ayurvedic medicine, they call this prana. And in traditional Chinese medicine, they call this qi. And really, other people call this God. So there's very many different ways that you can look at this. And so this force is an unseen energy. However, this force can be measured in many different ways. We can see how this force acts on the meridians of the body, which connects the chakras to the organ affinities. And there's many different ways of a vitalist perspective. A vitalist looks at everything as if everything that is outside is on the inside. The celestial bodies above as so below. And then you can look at nature on the outside of us, the sun, the waters of the earth, the trees and the plants also are on the inside of us. When you think about a plant, we're very similar to a plant. So when you think about a plant, what does a plant need to grow? Sunlight. It needs pH balanced water. Okay. It needs food, nutrients. So if you really want to understand vitalism, buy a plant, take care of a plant. A plant will essentially teach you how you grow if you're able to actually keep that going. It's so, and this is where we can go ahead. We can show that picture if you want, Deb, of the vitalist. And this is what we're talking about right here. We're not looking at the body, and this is what we're going to talk about in a moment, is reductionism. But we're not talking about the body as a machine. We're talking about the body as a natural being. Nature is inside of us. And if you see this here, this is a beautiful picture that is in a book about traditional Chinese medicine. And so, as you see in this picture, you can see at the cranium, at the crown, you have the clouds and the atmosphere. And you go down, you have the terrain, you have the trees and the mountains. And you go down even further, you look at, you have the waters of the body and the waters of the earth. Okay. Now, when we talk about reductionism, this perspective came from a gentleman named Rene Descartes. He was a French mathematician, a scientist, and a philosopher. He was born around the 1500s to the early 1600s, and basically he was the one that claimed the body as a machine. So a reductionist reduced the body down into its mechanical mechanisms. And if you want to show that one, Deb, there we go. This is how the doctors and the Western world sees the body. They see the brain, as a computer, as a processor. They see the nervous system, the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system as wires and circuits. They see the lungs as pumps, and they see pulleys. And so this is why we go to the doctor, and we go to all these different, you have different, you got cardiovascular doctor, you have the neurosurgeons, and you got the kidney doctor. You just go through all these different checkups, and you go, and they basically look at like I said, the body like a machine, and they localize everything. They come in with a heart issue, they localize everything as the heart, and they don't essentially look at your external environment. There's so many issues that can pertain to what's going on inside of us, outside of us. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes complete sense, especially from the aspect of a life coach, because oftentimes people seek out coaching or therapy or some kind of help because they think they're trying to just deal with one thing or this other thing. If you think that you're going to get a job that's going to make you feel better, that's not what's actually the problem. There's other underlying things that are happening, and all of this works together synchronistically and in harmony. And that's the same thing with the body. The emotional things that you got going on, the body parts, all the things, all of this is a system, and it all has to work cohesively together for you to have the optimal everything going on the inside. And that's for emotions and for the
Absolutely.
physical bit of a thing. So I love the way that you've explained this.
Yeah, I like what you just said as well, because this is a good thing to look at too, because what happens over time is like kind of what you just explained is that, well, from an herbalist perspective, you can see that the mind and the heart, everything talks to one another. The mind and the heart connects with one another. The mind, heart, and body speak to one another. The heart and the gut has its own neurons. It has nearly just as many neurons as the brain has, and they all have their own way of speaking to one another. But what happens here in this world, like you being a coach, a life coach, the heart, essentially, we go through trauma, and we go through the way that we're raised to not speak and to explain our emotions, to be able. And so what this does, we put all these walls around our heart, and when we put all these walls around our heart, our mind and our heart stop speaking to one another. It can't communicate anymore. And then our mind, we start to think in this very abstract way. We're in separation. We're not whole anymore. And so that's one thing we got to do. We got to break down these walls around our heart, because if our mind and heart are not being able to connect with each other and talk to one another, then our mind, heart, and body cannot talk and connect with one another. And this is where we start to get what I know that they call it disease, but I'm going to call it dis-ease, because you just have essentially, you're out of tune with nature. So
So
go
I
ahead.
would say I have a question for you, Leo.
Yeah.
So, how does the vitalist approach support or deepen healing when it comes to the community? When the community most, like, especially in where we're living at in the Northern Americas, it kind of overlooks or is kind of dismissed by Western music. I mean, Western medicine. So, what would you say? Like, how is it?
See, even though it's dismissed in medicine,
Mhm.
when we look at the social sciences, such as psychology, sociology, anthropology, these things are this is what being in school, I've realized that we divided to conquer long ago. And what we really need to do, we need to bring these social sciences back to the fields of medicine, to the practitioners, because what has happened is that they talk about changing. When you're in psychology is about learning about yourself. It's learning how your mind works, and your mind is and then in sociology you learn about social systems, and anthropology you learn about different cultures and creeds and such. And so what needs to happen is we need to bring all this back in together, because now we need to realize we need to also work on the mind. We need to work on the and changing the environmental factors. We may be in a stressful relationship. It may be a very pessimistic relationship that we're having. Maybe we need to even move out of the toxic houses that we live in. Sometimes the houses have toxic air. Sometimes they have toxic molds. Sometimes it's just all about changing everything. Even though we can't change everything, we have our own worlds, essentially, I guess I'm getting to. And our worlds is what we put our arms spanned out, and that's our world. Our world is our home. Our world is our the families that we choose to be around and the loved ones we choose to have around us. And this is something that the medical world needs to talk about more often, is that we need to sometimes, yeah, we have our family, but sometimes they're not the best thing for us. Sometimes we're in a relationship where we think we're in love and such, but if it's causing a bunch of harm, stress, and it's causing us not to be disciplined, we need to get out of that. We need to change those things.
What
Thank
I
you. Go ahead, Yams.
what my question would be to follow that up would be how does vitalism affirm the body's natural intelligence? Because the body, I know, and I know that you know, but listeners, y'all should know that the body knows what it needs and it talks to you. And so, how would
Absolutely.
you say that vitalism affirms what the body already naturally needs and is intelligent in?
A vitalist way of knowing this is knowing thyself. And to know thyself, you have to be, and that's the problem in this world, in my opinion. Nowadays we have a lot of distractions. We don't Not very many people sit with themselves, and they can't sit with themselves more than 15 minutes without picking up a phone, without turning on the TV, without just having some kind of distraction. A vitalist way is being able, see, in the school of evolutionary herbalism, this is a really good analogy, I guess. In the school of evolutionary herbalism, you learn that something that's very important for an herbalist is to plant sit. See, our plants are our ancestors. They're very intelligent. And the reason I say that our plants are the ancestors is because, well, when our ancestors passed away, they laid down, we buried them, they turned back, they took the flora and fauna, which they consumed throughout their whole entire lives. This flora and fauna now breaks down, their body breaks down, and it regenerates into new flora and fauna, new plants, new animals. So when you're in the school of evolutionary herbalism, you're taught how to plant sit. You sit with the plant, you meditate with the plant. The plant doesn't just teach you what it's trying to tell you, but it also teaches you a life lesson about yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's interesting how you said, in ancient time they went back to the earth, and now we put ourselves in caskets. You think that that disconnects us from the natural cycle of life?
I think that it doesn't just do that. I believe that for a fact, the reason that we have global warming, I know that I can't say this is a fact. This is just my belief, my opinion. But when we look at global warming, okay, they talk about the earth changing and everything being drastically different than what it was a few hundred years ago, a few thousand years ago. And like you just said, we're put into concrete tombs, we're put into wooden caskets. Now our flora and fauna is not, we're excreting oil from the earth. We're excreting all of these minerals, all of these vitamins from the earth, but we're not giving back to the earth. The earth is a living organism. We are essentially the cells of the earth. Okay. And so when we're not, and that's what happens in our body when we fast. When we fast, we go through a state of autophagy, and the cells break down and then they eliminate. Okay. Well, we're the cells of the earth. We break down, but we're breaking down inside these tombs and these caskets. We're not giving back what we're taking from the earth. And yeah, so I think everything is definitely has a big factor on why the world is sick, why Mother Earth is not healing the way that she should, and which also pertain. And this is what a vitalist should look at. The world's not healing, therefore we're not going to heal.
It's interesting you just said that, because I just read, or it was something that I read, and it was saying how back in the day people would take the seed of a plant and put it in their mouth and then bury it so that that plant could give the person what it needed for his body. And then when you just said about us releasing, dying and releasing into the ground, possibly other plants could have been developed by now for certain diseases. If the earth knew that there was a sickness like that existed, it's like we're not allowing the earth to even know that there's stuff going on in the human body. People don't take their shoes off, so there's no connection there. So it's just like we're totally disconnected from our own planet that we walk on, and we expect to give us life.
Most definitely. And that's something I kind of want to mention as well. It's like you talk about how we wear shoes. And you're absolutely right. We're not grounding anymore. We're exposed to too much radiation, too much blue light, our cell phones, our computers. That's one thing we need to do. Not only ground, it's just we need to go back to nature. We need to get sunlight. We need to stop wearing sunglasses. We need to get away from all the plastics. Plastics are essentially endocrine disruptors, which affect the hormones of the body. We get too much toxic estrogen from plastics. We need to go back to drinking, instead of consuming so much H2O, we need to consume more H3O2. H3O2 is the water that comes from the fruits. When the fruits break down in the body, it converts into H3O2, which is structured water. This structured water has 3 hydrogen and 2 oxygen molecules. It has a molecular arrangement different from H2O. It's hexagonal. It's a hexagonal clusters, which makes it very easy to transport nutrients and remove toxins from the body. And nowadays we breathe from our mouth instead of breathing from our nose. We need to practice taking big deep breaths. Our body needs oxygen. Oxygen is what kills things. It eliminates it, such as cancer. And this is why you go in hyperbaric chambers. And you get fresh 100% oxygen into your body. And it's incredible how far away from nature we have come. This is why also, when you think about it, a lot of people will say, well, our ancestors, we're not here to really talk about meat and carnivore and vegetarian and such, but I will say people do. They say, what about our ancestors? They used to eat all this meat. They used to eat like this and that. Well, our ancestors' genes were not genetically modified as ours is. We have over the last 6 generations, we have consumed so many toxins, and it has literally altered our genetic factors. And because this has altered our genetic factors in such a way, we can't tolerate the things that our ancestors used to tolerate. And not only that, we overindulge in everything. We think that we need a 3-course, 4-course meal, and that's not necessary. We think that we need 3 meals a day. That's absolutely not necessary. And our ancestors, they used to, they would eat a large amount of food at times, but then they would fast for weeks, 7 days, 14 days. Sometimes it was by choice, and sometimes it was because of the fact that they did not have, they didn't have these factories that we have nowadays. So they were out foraging, living off the land, living with the animals, living with the waters of the earth and the insects.
I definitely agree. So when it comes to like integrating herbalism into our lives, what 2 or 3 simple ways you could give to our listeners?
First, start off with your own environment, your own world, and your world is your home, is what I got to say. Change out the toxic things in your home. Water filters on your shower and your sinks. Get rid of all of your Teflon pots and pans. Start using stainless steel and cast iron pans. Swap your blenders for plastic blenders for stainless steel blenders. I know you said 3 things, but another thing I could suggest is, like, a lot of people use air fryers nowadays. Everybody's air fryers are very toxic. You want to get glass, they're glass air fryers. Everything starts in the home. Like I said, everything starts with your environment before you start to consume herbs. Once you change your environmental factors, then you can go ahead and balance out the energetics of the body, and you can truly see what's affecting you. See what, if you even have a dis-ease at all. You may not even have a dis-ease. It may be just because of all the things you're consuming from the outside.
Okay. And then also, what should people be mindful of when approaching plant medicine as a healing tool?
For starters, don't abuse the plants we have. Like we said, our plants are our ancestors. We have to truly, truly understand what we're taking and why we're taking it. We want to take things in moderations, and we don't want to abuse the plants we're taking. Just like if you were taking pharmaceutical medication, you don't want to abuse it. It's going to mess up your energetics. Your energetics are everything. And when you mess with your energetics, you're going to put yourself out of tune with nature. And then it's going to make you feel as if, or seem as if, you have an issue that you actually don't have. And when really it's just you're out of line with certain things. Does that make sense?
Yams, do you have any points or any discussions you would like to?
I don't have anything that's like a new question or anything, but I do want to just speak to the fact that, like, I know you ran through a whole bunch of other things earlier, but the one that stood out to me about how we help ourselves is breathing and how we don't deep breathe. And I know that for me, I did like a whole breathing practice intentionally. I did like a program to learn about this, and it's been really helpful, and I continue to revisit how I breathe because I notice that sometimes in life I get locked in and I'm on my blue screen computer and I'm click clacking away and I'm sitting there and I'm tight and I'm not hardly even breathing. And then I'm like, Yams, relax, girl. You can just, and it's okay. Cause it's like you get caught up in life and you get caught up in going, and you forget to do the basic things that your body needs. And it's not that you're not going to breathe, but like you said, deep breathing is cleansing. And so we have to give ourselves and we have to give ourselves and our bodies space to actually be more than the doing that we have been programmed and conditioned to stay on this rat race and be in the midst of. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you.
I
Oh,
agree.
and also I wanted to add that the way that you speak about dis-ease is samesies. The way that the body will communicate to you that something is not right is crazy. And I didn't believe it. And then I started learning things and educating myself and then actually recognizing because taking time to self. And there's a book that's been really helpful for me that I just wanted to mention. It's called You Can Heal Your Life, and it's by Louise Hay. And I know anytime I bought this on Kindle so that anytime I have a question about something that's going on, I type it into the search and I can go straight to it. So most recently, I had some issues with carpal tunnel in my wrist. And when I looked it up, it said that it was from anger that had been held on to from seeming injustices. And it was so spot on that it was scary because there's been environmental things that have been at play that have had me angry. And I thought that I was dealing with it and processing through it and all of that. But for it to manifest physically in my body required me to then check myself and be like, oh, girl, you've allowed the outside inside. So
100%.
I just wanted to
Absolutely.
share that.
I love that.
Okay, so for our listeners, we have a question for you guys, and we would love for you to comment it below or send us a DM with your answer. What plants or natural remedies has supported you in the time of healing? So answer that for us. We would like to know. And then also for Leo, for the folks who want to go deeper with their work, where can they find you and what offerings do you currently have available?
Well, I guess the best way to get a hold of me now is you can always email me. I'm working on building a website for conscious healing, but my email is leonidas underscore hamza at proton.me. And so if anybody ever wants to talk, discuss anything, have a consultation, you can always contact me that way, and we can work something out.
Okay, thank you. So, and then also, if you guys are new here and you really enjoyed this episode, or if you would like to be a guest on our new episode, make sure that you check out our website. It's www.thehealingquarterpodcast.com. Also, don't forget to share our podcast. Let other people know we're over here so that they can benefit from all this beautiful knowledge that we're getting. We thank you, Leo, so much for being here. Yams, you got any last words?
Thank you, Leo, for being here, for always coming with all the good information and education. And I thank the community for tuning in. If you've stayed this long, thank you for tuning in, for taking time for yourself, because this is how we do better by our bodies, by taking the time to learn something and then taking one step to implement something new.
Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you for.
Remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. So keep showing up for yourself.
If you enjoyed this episode, follow us on social media at The Healing Corner Podcast and visit www.thehealingcornerpodcast.com for more content, coaching, and ways to connect.
Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and keep shining.